Okay, I have 5:30. The Sustainability Commission meeting will come to order on Monday, February 24th, 2025, and we'll take the roll call.
Chair Getka,
Present.
Vice Chair Liu,
Present.
Commissioner Jimenez, absent. Commissioner Verdugo,
Present.
Commissioner Chris, absent.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take the Pledge of Allegiance. Turn around. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public comments.
There are no public comments.
Okay, moving right along, we will have some presentations today. Would you like to introduce our visitors?
Absolutely. Tonight we have some folks from Burtec, Clara Vera, who's the Municipal Marketing Manager for Burtec, and also, would you like, I don't,
Your dedicated environmental coordinator, Cynthia Avalos.
they're here to present some of the work that was completed last year and some of the results for diversion rates in 1383. And I just want to say thank you for you guys for coming here. And I know that a lot of the results that you're going to show tonight are due in large part to the work that Burtec has done. Cynthia, you've been amazing with your going out and talking to the businesses and educating. And Clara, as always, you've always been really good about keeping us in line with some of the regulations that we have. So please, go ahead and...
Good evening, Sustainability Commission. Thank you for having us today. Again, my name is Clara Vera. It is a pleasure to be with you guys today and tomorrow and yesterday and always. Here with us today, as mentioned earlier, is Cynthia Avalos, which is your dedicated environmental coordinator. And it isn't without the work of Sarah and our teams together that we're able to be here today and present the positive numbers that we have here for you today. So we have a presentation for you guys. We're going to briefly go over 2024 and some of the great programs and services that Sarah and Cynthia and our Burtec operations and customer service teams all lead. And we'll go over public education and outreach, and we'll go over a big item for us. Yes, SB 1383, Senate Bill 1383 has been established, and we're going on our third year. That still does not mean that Sarah and I and the team aren't constantly working with CalRecycle and producing reports and monitoring programs, and it is an ongoing, almost sometimes, Sarah, daily effort, monthly effort in reporting up to the state on the vitality of SB 1383. And then we'll go over some resources. And thank you, Cynthia Avalos. In front of you are some public education and outreach collateral. These are the same items that all of our residents see and all of our businesses see. And I hope that you find some time to enjoy all of the great work that we provide to our business and residential community. So without further ado, big slide here for us. 2024 year in review, organics. Residents helped divert. And when we use the word divert, that means that we are keeping material from going to the landfill. So we are diverting items from going to the landfill. So organics, that new green cart that everybody sees, that is our organic program that is required now by the state of California, SB 1383. 9,758 tons of organic material has been diverted by the residents from going to the landfill. Businesses helped divert 3,985 tons from going to the landfill. As far as recycling, when you hear us talk about recycling, we're recycling now as mandated by Senate Bill 1383. We're mandated to recycle. What that means for this particular Senate bill is that we're required to recycle organics, which is food waste, landscaping, and so on. But we're also still required to recycle dry recyclables. So for that second moon over spot, residents helped divert 4,788 tons of dry recycling from going to the landfill, and businesses helped divert 2,169 tons of dry recycling from going to the landfill. Now, if we're looking at it from 2023 to 2024, as we look at a year in review, now that we are going into our second year of SB 1383, we had an 8% increase in residents helping to divert organic material from going to the landfill. What does that mean? That means that it's a very healthy program. That means our residents are engaged and they are putting the right items into that green barrel, which is where we're getting that 9758. So an 8% increase from 2023 to 2024. As far as commercial, we've had a 13% increase in businesses doing the right thing, placing that organic material into the equipment and helping us divert that. So some very, very big numbers. Dry recycling saw a little bit of a decrease, and that could be attained to businesses closing, everybody focusing on the organic, so that wet material going into the program. Nevertheless, a big year for 2024 for Indio, showcasing some very strong numbers in participation and adapting to a very, very new organic law for us. We do also have free residential used oil and filter program, and we saw a healthy 212 gallons of used oil be taken off the streets, so to speak. So that means that 212 residents called us and disposed of 212 gallons of used oil, which means that we're keeping our drains healthy. It means that we're keeping our streets clean and beautiful. Bulky item program, if you're familiar with it, is when we come to your home and we pick up items such as broken tables, laptops, TVs, dressers, mattresses, maybe an old bike, maybe an old stroller. Bulky items. Let's just look at how incredible this number is. 19,250 residents enjoyed the bulky item program. 19,250 residents called us to schedule a bulky item pickup. That is remarkable. That is showing that residents are happy with the program. That means that they're excited to use the program, and we are keeping, in essence, 19,250 items from being illegally dumped in the neighborhoods, in the right-of-ways. That's an extraordinary number. Big kudos to our Burtech operations bulky item team who's out there recovering those items day in, day out. Recycling outreach, huge number here. Big kudos to Cynthia who's joining us today. We reached out to businesses 1,689 times. That means that Cynthia made contact with our businesses 1,689 times in the course of a year, and that could mean anything from a waste assessment, a resource visit, providing free resources, providing staff training, providing collateral, monitoring, making sure that they're participating in those programs. So big kudos. Thank you, Cynthia, for the incredible work that you do in the city of Indio. 2024, we had, so inside that bulky number, these are the big programs that you see. We had 4,152 mattresses be picked up and made sure that they're not illegally dumped. We had 4,128 white goods, and white goods for us in the industry, in the waste industry, means metal goods, right? So back in the day, white goods were washers and dryers and refrigerators, and because they were metal, they were white goods for us, which means that they have a recycle value component to it. Nowadays, we see a lot of stainless steel, but it is an industry term, which means metal, and we picked up 4,128 white goods from the community. 52 Sharps containers were requested from our residents. So here you have also collateral in front of you in a packet sorted out by the type of outreach that we perform. So last year you're seeing a good array of any one of these mixes here. We also last year included two big milestones for the city. So outside of the regulatory language and the about 13 programmatic sections that are inside of Senate Bill 1383, two of them is that annually the city is required to provide information to residents and commercial businesses. We also went a step further, and so not only are property owners required to participate in the programs, but for multifamilies, they're also required to notice the tenants inside of the multifamilies. So this year what we did is we mailed out a notice, a letter with the attached multifamily kit with them that tells the property owner and reminds them annually, and actually this was more than annually, but annually by USPS mail, we mailed them a letter, a property owner guide, a multifamily flyer, and a how to do organics for their tenants. Last year, we also provided an oversized postcard. If you got a chance to look at it, I hope you enjoyed the take a bite out of the apple, which means we wanted you to feed the bin. So you might have noticed a oversized postcard to all residents to remind them that Senate bill requires them to participate in the organics program. And then we also did our regular newspaper ads for the Christmas tree recycling and holiday announcements, which you could see in our annual reports. Big look ahead at events for the year. The city puts on some outstanding sustainability events. We have one coming up May 17th, in case anyone is listening or inclined to take some notes. And then we also have one September 27th that Sarah does an incredible job of working with Cynthia and our operations team and some of our other highlighted vendors in providing great opportunities for our residents to divert or to participate in household hazardous waste and cleanup events. Outreach this year, we're going to focus on SB 1383, some fun social media pieces focusing on summer safety. As you know, our friends in Los Angeles just has passed through inevitably fire season. And for us, fire season is always an important season because when we put hazardous waste items such as batteries, pool chemicals, and hot coals into our carts, that causes our trash trucks to catch fire because of the debris of the items that were illegally dumped into those carts. So we will be focusing on these four areas here over the next 3 quarters. And then all new residents who come and live in the city of Indio all receive a welcome kit that provides them a how-to for organics, a recycling flyer, and some of those other items that we have. This is a big slide for Indio. As we mentioned, Senate Bill 1383 requires the city to provide sometimes monthly, quarterly, annually reports up to the state of California, to our partners over at CalRecycle on the health of Senate Bill 1383, and we are very happy to announce that we are 98% compliant with our commercial business recycling programs, which means that we just have a few loose businesses that we need to reach out to, or there's some change in businesses sometimes, but that's still a really healthy number. 98% of your businesses are compliant with Senate Bill 1383. That's a remarkable number. It showcases the city's relationship with the businesses and wanting to do the right thing. This year, we'll also be focusing on the annual goal under Senate Bill 1383. The city's also required to procure compost for the city, and this year we'll be working with Sarah to look at how we are going to procure almost 3,000 tons of compost that the city is required to recover and to provide. Usually we use those for the city facilities. Last year we did a little bit of compost at the golf course, which makes the ground covers beautiful. Recycling resources, again, you're seeing a lot of the good work. Here is a copy of the oversized postcard that residents received. Reduce organic food waste, it's the law. Feed the Bin, and then an ensuite of all of the resources that we provide to our business and residential community. And with that, thank you, City of Indio, for keeping us clean and beautiful, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Liu, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you, and thank you for the job. Thank you, and thank you for the job that you do and everyone over at Burtech. You said that there was a waste assessment that Burtech does. Is that for residents or businesses?
So waste assessments are one of the 13 sections outlined in Senate Bill 1383. So yes, waste evaluations are done in the City of Indio twice a year, and they cover all sectors, commercial and residential.
Okay. So you call up the residents, or how do you do that? When it's dropped off, or not at the home, right?
Oh, so I think I misunderstood you. Waste assessments are done for commercial businesses.
Okay, just for commercial, okay.
Yes, just for
I got it.
commercial.
Okay.
There
all
is another component, one of many handful components that the city is required to participate under Senate Bill 1383. And so I thought you were referring to the waste evaluations. But waste assessments can happen anytime that there's a new business, change in ownership of business, or the business hears of a resource and they reach out to us. And so that triggers us to do a waste assessment, which means it's just an overall health check on the business, right? Are you participating? How are you doing? Maybe you've had some turnover in your staff. Maybe you need some retraining. Maybe you need some new posters. And so any one of those items is conducted for our commercial businesses.
Okay, and what is a waste evaluation?
So waste evaluation is a separate article written under Senate Bill 1383 that requires the city to do container contamination monitoring. So that's what I was referring to under waste evaluation, and we do those twice a year, and those are done under overall sector reviews, where we pull a portion of the trash, organics, and recycling. We do an audit on the materials, and then we provide an assessment to the city. And you guys have passed both of those in 2024.
Okay, and my last question is on the types of plastics. I'm never sure on those. Is there an easy way or an app or something on that?
1 through 7. So if you look at let's just say that maybe you're switching over to a new yogurt, and if you flip the yogurt cup over, there'll be a number on it.
Okay.
And if it's 1 through 7, we would be happy to take those pretty clean and dry and place into the recycling container.
Okay, all right, well, who knew that? I didn't. Okay, thank you. Thanks,
You know,
Claudia.
it changes a lot as the industry evolves and as different materials are introduced
Right.
to our United States systems. But pretty much for us in our facilities at the Burtech facilities, we are accustomed to taking 1 through 7.
Alrighty, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any questions?
My question is, the cards that you said that go out, is that at the beginning of each year?
It depends. Last year we did it in the 4th quarter. I believe it was in October or November. So it just depends on where we're at in meeting the threshold for whatever the annual is. Right now we're trending for 3rd quarter.
Okay, and do they go out in both English and Spanish?
They do.
They do.
They do. So another part of Senate Bill 1383 is that it requires all jurisdictions to provide submersive language. So and it just depends on whatever your biggest population is. So for us in the City of Indio, it's English and Spanish. And so all SB 1383 material that when you get a chance in your leisure time, as you look at the wonderful folders that Sarah and Cynthia have provided for you, you will see that most of them are front and back, and they are English and Spanish. So they are dual submersive, and we welcome all of our friends to be able to enjoy and have the resources. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
And bubble wrap was something I was curious about. I went on your website before the meeting today just to see what's going on with your website. And I looked up the recyclables, and I guess I never realized bubble wrap is not to go into the blue recycle container.
That is correct. So one of the tips that I always give to all of my friends and family is if you have a really great piece of bubble wrap, say you purchase something and it's a healthy portion of bubble wrap, you're welcome to set up a home USPS zone in your house where you can repurpose the bubble wrap. Maybe you can repurpose some of that really great cardboard, but absolutely bubble wrap is considered trash.
Okay, great. Also, I know these are great. Your direct mail pieces and color, full color, and bilingual are great.
Thank you.
I was just curious, because when I went on your website, if somebody moved into the city or the area for any Burtech location, and they were wondering about some of these recycle opportunities, if you go on your website, there is a mention of it, but it's not, you guys don't have the same detail that you have on your flyers. Is there a way to kind of beef that up a little bit on your website?
So if you go to our website and you go and you pick City of Indio, all of these items are located in the City of Indio. So Burtech services the greater California, and every jurisdiction is different.
Okay.
And so for us, the way that we navigate that is if you go under the City of Indio specific landing page, you will see all of these resources available.
Yeah, and I know that because I did that too, but I was just curious if everybody knows to go to their city website and look for that versus going to the vendor.
Just the general, right.
Yeah. Just, I just thought, I made an observation, that's all.
Yeah, and we're welcome to, I could send you all of the graphics, and if you're welcome to upload those as well.
And then, does every homeowner have a green organic bin?
Every homeowner that has been rolled out in the program does. We have some pockets that are seasonal in the City of Indio that we are still looking to refine.
Okay, because I live in an HOA, I have a lot of neighbors, I don't always see their green trash cans out every week.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're not aware of what the regulations are, what they should be doing. I'm not sure if they even have a green container. I'm just curious, that's why I asked the question.
yeah, we do have some seasonal HOAs that we've been working with to roll out a complete program. What we are seeing in the valley, just in general, just as an FYI, because we are a seasonality region, a lot of friends just have not decided to come back home, and we're seeing that as well. But we do have that high seasonality in the City of Indio in some of those pockets where we're working with them, we're doing the mailers, we're asking them to call us when they come home. And so we are slowly building that as they call us when they come, because they call us to, hey, we're home.
Right.
And so that's an automatic turnover of the green program.
Okay. And then on your recycling events, the one's coming up May 17th, I think you send out a reminder in the billing, correct, on that, when those events occur?
Yes, that works through the city, and we do put one into the IWA bill.
Oh, okay, all right, good, very good. And then, last question, our landfill is down by the Salton Sea, is that where we use is that our landfill?
So we have a landfill there, yes.
Okay, is that on the North Shore, east?
It's
Right.
on the very last end of what we would consider North Shore. So it's still about another 20 minutes ahead of Salton.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, thanks, ladies, so much for coming, and we appreciate your sharing your information and updates with us, and I guess we'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Or maybe sooner, who knows? We can always talk a little trash.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you guys for
You've rehearsed
having
that
us.
line before, I can tell.
Have a great evening.
right,
Thank you
thank
for
you so
having
much.
us. Thank you for all that you do.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Moving on. We are moving on to the minutes from the last meeting. So we can look at those, and if anybody would like to make a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of January 27th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
I can second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 27th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion pass, minutes pass. All right, that was easy. Next, we have work plan updates.
Yes, this is the last work plan that we had in as we're updating the sustainability plan. This was the last table that I created that I've shown to you all. On the very top one, I did add microgrids. At the last city council meeting, the city council did mention a program that's going on through WRCOG, I believe, or Western Riverside Council of Governments, who are doing a program to look in to see where there are areas that might be feasible for microgrids, and they asked that we follow along with some of this and certainly learn more about it, and not necessarily form a project at this point, but at least to learn about it and get a little more familiar with how this process works in other areas. So I added that. You'll see that two things are crossed out. Last meeting, we talked about the Energy Efficiency Conservation Grant. They are the projects that were part of that grant. We talked about how it was a federal grant and we weren't sure if it would move forward, and we have gotten confirmation that it will not. So those two projects are removed from our current table. We did want to we were considering looking at a tree project, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. We are going to hold the two sustainability collection events, as Clara mentioned, on March 17th and September 27th. I also wanted to go ahead and come back to that. I also wanted to give everyone a notice that twice a year as well, we do, Riverside County does a collection event, or they do their, Riverside County has full household hazardous collection events. So our events are kind of a niche, and it works really well. People come for very specific things, and it's a very popular event. But we don't take all the range of household hazardous materials, but Riverside County does at their events. And so they have two temporary events that they hold in Indio, and one is coming up on March 8th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m., and they take everything. They take fertilizers, they also take oil, as we do, and electronic waste, but they take pool chemicals, they take any kind of household hazardous waste that you have. It's not limited the way our events are. So that is coming up on March 8th in Indio at the same location, the Indio Corporate Yard, from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock.
How do we, oh, I'm sorry, how do we educate our citizens on this on March 8th?
This will go out in the monthly e-newsletter. We do try to get this into a water bill as well. We're not as consistent with that as we are with our own events. Riverside County also does their own outreach, and we'll put this also, I believe, on social media is the plan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, going back to the work plan. All right, so that's our sustainability collection events. Our participation with the CVAG Regional Comprehensive Climate Action Plan. We do have a follow-up meeting this Thursday. They have the greenhouse gas emission data now. All the cities have given them all of their information. They've looked at the business as usual projections for how much CO2 or greenhouse gas emissions will be put into the atmosphere is if we did nothing, business as usual. And they've also looked at, as far as the transportation sector, what we should expect or can expect if the California regulation for Advanced Clean Cars 2 moves forward, which it's planning to. That's the regulation where California has said that by 2035, all new cars sold in California have to be zero emission vehicles. So that's what they factored into the transportation sector for greenhouse gas emissions, and what will they look like if that goes through, and what kind of reductions we can expect to see. So that's one of the things that the draft is out. It's not finalized. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about on Thursday. We'll be going through that, and we're basically moving along with the Regional Climate Action Plan. The next one is the True Waste Initiative for the commercial sector. We have SBM, the consultants, and they are coming out next week, next Monday and Tuesday. And we're kind of going back and forth on the best way to use that time and how to get businesses involved. And really what it keeps coming down to is that we want to get businesses who volunteer to become True Waste certified. The problem is that it's hard to get them to commit to something when we can't really explain what it's going to take for their business to reach that point. So what we'd like to do on those 2 days is meet with any interested businesses, and we're going to try and set up a time where SBM can walk through their facilities, where they can talk with some of the people who work there, the managers, or just some staff, and from that, they want to be able to create a zero waste plan. So it's just the kind of the beginning. This meeting will allow SBM to make a detailed plan specific to any facility that says this is what you'll need to do to become zero waste certified. It's at no cost to any of the businesses, and they have no obligation to move forward. But it's that information that they need to decide if this is going to work well for their business. Do they feel like that's right for them? Do they feel like it's worth it? Do they feel like it would make their business better, more efficient? So that's the first step, and that's what we're hoping to do as much as we can next Monday and Tuesday, is just kind of connect with some businesses. It's going to be mainly educational, and as much as we can, maybe get a few businesses on board to do that first initial step, so that they can at least see details to help them make a decision.
I have a question on that.
Shoot.
Is this something, this type of program, is that something other cities are also doing right now that you know of? Like,
No, from the talks that we've had with the Green Building Council and the consultants, this is new. This is completely new. So for a city to do. And it's not new for, say, like a large corporation who has many offices throughout, the country or wherever. And so the Green Building Council for this certification will give a discount to satellite offices. And while this isn't exactly like that, they have offered us the same deal. So in other words, the City of Indio becomes a member of Green Building Council, and then any of the businesses, when we get to the point of being certified, their costs for doing so, for the actual certification, will be discounted as if they were a satellite company, just because they're under the umbrella of the City of Indio in this program. So they've offered us quite a discount in the cost.
and my question was, are other cities getting involved with the same type of program with the Green Building Council?
No, not at this time. As far as I know, this is the first time a city has done this.
I would add, and I'm trying to remember the name of the county. It's up in Northern California, south of the Bay Area, and if you go onto the True Waste site, you will see that while they're not trying to, at least from the information on the website, you don't see them necessarily reaching out to businesses in their community. They themselves, like one of them, I think it was I want to say it was like a court, some kind of municipal building or something like that. You can do zero waste for your operations, and you can do zero waste associated with a construction project. Well, they were retrofitting one of their municipal buildings, and they did zero waste for that project. And you were here, I think, Commissioner Getko, when I did a presentation on that. Do you remember? I would up in Northern California. Do you remember that presentation that
I
I did?
remember the winery discussion. I just
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah,
precisely what county or,
Yeah, I can't even remember the name of the county myself, but there is, I don't, it's
you
not
said it was south of
Sonoma.
you said it was south of the
Yeah,
Bay
it's
Area,
not
right?
Sonoma County, but there's one county, I think I'll find it, that they are doing that, so, and then there's another one over closer to the beach that they're doing it, but they're doing it for their own buildings, and that was one of the things that I'm hoping that the city will consider doing it with, the operations, although it's a little bit late because I guess all the it seems to me that it might be easier for a construction project because you have the construction is 5 years, so you have a defined timeline, and of course you can always hand it off to whoever's doing the construction job, right? So your staff doesn't have to worry about it. But these construction plans already around here in front of us are so advanced. I don't know that it's almost like it's too late to try and roll it into what's going on outside the door in front of our faces here with the construction.
I remember that. I believe it was Contra
Contra
Costa?
Costa,
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that's when they did it, and I agree. I think we're a little far along on the construction projects that we're doing right now. But as we learn more about this, and, we're doing a lot in the city right now. It isn't something that just because we can't introduce it at this point, doesn't mean we couldn't do it for a project coming up. It's definitely something we can keep on the table.
Where are we at right now? I lost
All right.
track.
Water conservation efforts. I did get your email, Chair Getka, and I will talk to Indio Water Authority about giving us an update when they're able to. The City Beautification Indio Lindo program, they are working on a strategic plan. Once that's completed, I've asked them to come and present that to you themselves. So that's coming up for that project. Sustainable construction is brand new. We haven't started that. That came from the City Council just a month or so ago. And then the rest is largely outreach, connections, things like that. Things that we've really been talking about doing for quite a while and that we want to be the focus for this coming year. So this is ultimately what the table looks like now. It's a little shorter, but it gives us an opportunity, I think, to really focus more on that outreach, which really I haven't done a lot at all at this point. And the Zero Waste program is it's coming along. It's been taking a bit of bandwidth. Everything does to get off the ground. Once that is done, and it's more on the shoulders of the consultants to just keep working on that and keep it moving, then we can start looking at possibly something like if you want to do a tree project. But at this point, I would suggest that maybe we hold off on that, because if the focus is outreach, I don't want that to get left behind any longer. So that is the update for the work table at this point. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Can I get a copy of this, please?
Yes, I'll send this out tomorrow.
Okay. The sustainable construction, what was, do you have any further details on what was being requested?
I believe the background of that was that in the LA fires, there were a couple areas that obviously burned to the ground, and in some areas or some places, what I understand is that they are not rebuilding because it's almost toxic. Maybe, I mean, fire is a problem to begin with, but like from the housing is the issue. And, maybe there's a way to have a more sustainable construction. Maybe, is it possible? It's informational. It's kind of a, I want to say, a study. Is it more expensive to do? can it be done? Just information and starting from the ground, and I'm unfamiliar with it, so
Is this added to California building codes or city codes? Do you know, is this a new trend that we're seeing?
as far as
Or-
I know, it's not being added to any code. The trend that I am familiar with is the green building code. So there are those types of programs that are out there. There's certain ways that, things that you have to use, and there are certain diversion rates when you're constructing. There's a pretty good amount of green code, but I don't know if that is
Sure.
the same. This might be something. I mean,
I'm just curious why a city council has asked to have that added on.
Right, and I think this is a conversation really to have with them. So I'm gonna leave that on there, and then when we
Yeah.
do a study session, we can get a lot more clarification then.
I think Councilman Ortiz is a big proponent of it, because I talked to him the other day, and he mentioned that, brought it up in a conversation, so, anyway. I'm sure we'll learn more from the council when we have the training meeting, or,
Do you know if the city follows the green building code, or is it mandatory?
It's mandatory.
Okay.
okay. Anybody else have any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thanks.
Well, next item, if we're done with work plan updates, it would be commissioner reports. And we'll start from my left. Commissioner Liu, would you have anything to share with us today?
I'll let you go ahead because I have some information I'd like Sarah to pull up when I get
okay,
to
sure.
mine. Thank you.
How about, you have anything to add?
I don't have anything at this moment.
The one thing, Sarah, we were talking about, she'll talk to you about what topic area she would like to concentrate in.
I want to see what my options are,
Yeah,
so,
so you and her can get together, I guess, and just discuss
to see.
the different topics that we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I forgot to give you this is just a little handout here to the commissioners, on the side of the water information. I'll address that briefly. I guess we can go ahead and do that, PowerPoint. It's a short one, it's only 7 pages, so. So I'm attending what they call Water Counts Academy. I've attended 4 classes now, and this is a program that was put in place in 2017 by the Water Counts, or by the Coachella Valley Water District, and it's a collaboration among the 6 local water agencies that we have here in the Coachella Valley. And the Academy's focus was to raise awareness and educate the local community and residents about water issues facing the valley. And then basically you had to apply for this. They accepted about 48 applications. Next slide. So the class started on January 30th. They bring in different speakers. That was our session 1. It's about an hour and a half. And we talked about the history and water supply for the valley. And then the next class was February 6th. And this is held at the UCR Extension Campus off of, I think it's Frank Sinatra and Cook Street. So we talked about conservation, state and regional planning, and then the next one on February 13th was water quality. And then the last session we had, the 20th, was development and future needs. And then the last part of the course will be on Saturday. Actually, they have a typo on that. It should be March 1st, but we will be touring some of their water facilities, wastewater treatment facilities, and then we'll have a breakfast, and then I guess they give everybody a certificate. So the other thing was Councilman Oscar Ortiz has been also joining in on this program as representing the Friends of the Desert Mountains. It's a program he's a director with of education, so he's been going to the classes too. So that's all good because he's from Indio, so he also gets some insight as to what's going on with our water supply here in the valley. And I think that's the last slide. Oh no, we have more. So you can go on their website. What they're doing with each session is they're putting on all the PowerPoints from all the speakers that you can go in and access and read over or review. And then some videos that you can go on and just get some ideas of the different water facilities, Snow Creek, and then sustainability tour video, and then water delivery video, and then there's one on IWA, which is India Water Authority. There's one on there. So it's, again, interesting information that anybody can go on and look at. Next slide. And then just a basic idea of what water agencies do, how they serve our community. Public health is always a top priority with all the water agencies. And then they operate thousands of miles of pipelines and facilities here in the valley. And their goal is to keep water flowing to homes and businesses every day, and to also manage our resources for future generations. Next slide. So this is a map of the actual water district area by all the different water agencies. You can see Coachella Valley Water District is the largest in the yellow. And then there's Desert Water Agency, which is up by Palm Springs. Oh, I'm sorry, that's below Palm Springs. And then there's, oh no, that is Palm Springs. I don't know why I'm saying that, but, and then Indio, you can see, is the purple with the arrow pointing to it, and that is our water district area. Mission Springs Water District is up on the top in the red, and then there's the Coachella Valley Water Authority in the green, and then there's Mayola Dunes Water Company, which is really small. It's like a city of like 1,500 or something, or maybe less, that they have a water company for that area there, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, all these water agencies are involved with this program. So, and then this basically is a basic overview of where our water comes from. Now this is just one part of it. This is from the natural aquifer underneath our valley floor, which runs the whole length of the valley, and that's where we get a lot of our potable water from. And so that's where most of our drinking water comes from. And all these agencies have replenishment ponds that they use. They gather runoff water from the mountains and also from the Colorado River that they resupply, and that water filters down through the sediment, and that's where they pull the water up from. Usually around 1,000 feet down is where they usually find the water they want to pump up into the wells and then treat it, and then store it in their reservoirs and the tanks, water tanks that you see around the area, and then pump it out to the homes. And then they have the reclamation centers from the wastewater, which retreats the tertiary water that goes to a lot of our golf courses now and city parks. So, next slide. So this was kind of a little bit of a history of CVWD. 1918, it was formed to protect local water supplies. 1920s, they acquired rights to build replenishment ponds at Whitewater to capture some of the natural runoff. And then 1934, they contract with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation with the Boulder Canyon Project, which included construction of the Boulder Dam, now called the Hoover Dam, and then the All-American Canal, which we're familiar with, and the Coachella Branch Canal, which goes down into the irrigational areas of the valley. And then 1949, they started importing Colorado River water to the farms through the Coachella Valley and the American Canal. And then here's our Colorado River water. We wouldn't be what we are today without that canal and the water coming into the valley for agricultural purposes. And the reason they built that canal was they didn't want to use up all our groundwater underneath in our aquifer for irrigation for agriculture. So the Colorado River really has helped us a lot in keeping our valley green and expanding here in the valley. And if you see, CVWD delivers more than 260,000 acre-feet of Colorado River water to local farms today. So, next slide. I think that was maybe, one more. And this is just, since 1963, they've expanded the Whitewater facility near Palm Springs for replenishment. between CVWD and DWA. They've got 29 state water project contractors that bring in water, imported water from Sierra Nevada to replenish the groundwater basin. And we actually received the first deliveries in 1973. This might be the last one. That's it. Okay. All right. So anyway, so this is an interesting academy. Anybody can attend it. We had a lot of retired folks. We had some city people and people from the water district agencies, and I gave you all a handout. On the second page was the schedule, the course schedule, and it lists all the speakers. Last week, last Tuesday, we had Gloria Hernandez, who's our senior water management analyst for Indio Water Authority. She was the host of the class session. She did a very nice job, so I got a chance to meet her and talk to her a little bit. So next year, when they do this again, I would highly recommend if you guys can spare a couple hours on a Tuesday night. It starts at 5:30 in the evening. They provide a lunch, a box lunch, which is very nice, so you don't have to worry about dinner. And it's a totally free program. So keep that in mind for next year if you're interested. And then on the handout I gave you is just information on non-potable water, recycled water, and then the course schedule that we had. And then on the back pages, it's a chart of recycled water uses allowed in California. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the reclaimed water and recycled water is used and what it can be used for and what it can't be used for, depending on the level of treatment. So it's just some interesting information as a FYI on that. And that does it for that. Oh, the tour dates, I'm going to pass this down or pass it around. You can take a picture of it if you want to do some of their tours within the different water districts here. There's a calendar there, and they also have a course coming up, which I've signed up for. It's another free course, Water Conservation and Summit Expo for H2O for HOAs. So if anybody here lives in an HOA, you might want to, I passed this on already on to my landscaping committee at my HOA, because they're going to talk about the coming legislation, or it's already been passed, requiring replacing decorative grass in HOAs with either artificial turf or desertscape. And that has to be done in the next 3 or 4 years, unless it's postponed. So if anybody has time, this is on a Tuesday, March 27th at 9 a.m. It is pretty much a full-day course, so I'll give you all a report on that after I complete that program. And I just changed topics here. I'm sure you all got this nice little flyer in our IID bill about their water rates that have just taken effect in February this year. If you look at the illustration here, and I checked my water bill, it looks like it's about a 10.4% increase. So that has been put in effect to help them build their infrastructure. As we all know, IID has done a great job over the years, but with all the growth and expansion in the valley here, they have to upgrade their systems and infrastructure. So you can't do that for free, so they have to find the money to do that. So it's a 10.4% increase. We're still lower than our friends up to the north, Edison. So we're still very fortunate that we're still paying lower rates than the Edison folks. The last thing I have here, I don't know if you all got your Indio ID, but you're welcome to get this. It takes about 5 minutes. You can go to HR in the other building over there, talk to Michelle, and she'll put this together in like 5 minutes. So I'm not sure exactly why we need this, but it was an option. You don't have to have it, but I guess when we go to different events, we'll just wear this so people know who we are, that type of thing. So I don't think it's a passcode, so I haven't tried it though yet. And that's all I have. So I think anybody have any questions, anything?
No.
Oh, you have to go. Yes.
No, I don't have any questions. I've been to the Water Academy, and it is excellent. The only thing is I went during COVID, so I didn't get to, we were online, so it's a little bit different. So whenever I get the chance, I'll go again. Just wanted to go back to last month, I guess in January, when we talked about preparing, because it will be here sooner than we know it, our study program with City Council. And if you remember last month, I asked everyone to, or suggested, I didn't ask, suggested that we review this information on providing for the study session, because obviously we have a limited amount of time and we can't ramble through everything, so we have to hone it down. And I think we're targeting June or something now like that. So if you go to the second slide, I drafted some meeting objectives, said goals, and then identifying our biggest needs and next steps. So on the next slide, on the objectives, it was to obtain the City Council's input on the plan, ensure, well, I've got an error there, ensure the City Council is aware of the plan, because that's what kicked this off in the first place. I was talking to some of the city councilors, and they just really didn't seem aware of what we were doing, and neither we what they were doing. I know, for example, I saw in a news article somewhere online, City Council member Furman, he was like advocating for this Chuck Waller national monument thing. So they're doing their own thing. It's like they're doing their own thing, we're doing our own thing, and there's no joining. So that was just exchange of knowledge and then input, and then assisting the residents. So that was what it was. It just didn't make any sense, because we're all going out into the public and they have to present. And actually, I noticed the thing that troubled me was we always talk about the sustainability, the collection events, and those are fantastic, but it's not the only thing that we're doing sustainability wise. And also, we had a resident call in and said, you know, the commission isn't really doing very much. You weren't here at that time, Commissioner. So the residents don't know what we're doing. So we have one line item on the work plan that Sarah showed, which was developing a website. So that would help even the residents and the city council and everybody know what we're doing, because no one has time to go through all of these notes. People are so busy. They just have to go to a web page when they have a presentation to do, and we have to meet with them and spread our message. So by way of getting input, once we give them an overview of where we are now, which is the work plan, then on slide number 9, we have a blank sheet for them to brainstorm. And we had a bunch of questions, and I asked for, suggested that, you know, the other commissioners, did this go out to the other commissioners, Sarah, do you recall, for their comments? Okay, Sarah has a 99.999% rate, but yeah, she's like so perfect.
She's not perfect?
Almost 99.99 is good enough for me.
She doesn't have 100%.
I don't know. Yeah, but this is asking on the next page, you know, what I'm asking for is, can we all come up, because obviously I don't want to be the only one to come up with questions, or we just talk ad hoc and then most of us don't get our questions in. You know, we kind of need to have a game plan and a limited number of questions. So it definitely is not going to be all mine, because that would be pretty boring. So we'll have some questions to kind of prompt them around, and then a worksheet for them to think of. Now, worksheets number 12 and 13 are kind of general: poverty, hunger, da-da-da. But around those indicator, climate, gender, the question that I asked myself this weekend is, how is India doing? So I started to, if you go to slide number, flipping past a whole bunch of slides, slide number, I think it's 21, looking at how are we doing. So I kind of mapped out the districts. Here are the districts, and then on slide number 22, there is a tool called Cal Enviro Screen, and it tells you how we're doing overall as a city it tells you that our ozone is at 89%, which means that we're 89% higher than, we're up in the upper, only 10% of areas within California have a higher ozone score than we do. We're really up there. Our diesel particulate is on the higher side, it's above 50, and of course we have the trucks there. And then we have linguistic isolation, poverty, unemployment, housing burden. That's the city overall, but we have, as you know, we have a huge differences in our cities. So when you go to the next slide, it begins to break down what are the differences. Red means you're in a, you know, difficult area. You have high pollution and higher poverty and higher unemployment. So those are the red zones, and I was a little bit weirded out by that, because actually, like where Indio High School is, I don't know if you can see that area that's to the west of the red, that's district number 4, which is City Councilman Ortiz's district. And on the website, the other website, the city website, they say that that is the area with the poorest, you know, the people with the, you know, lowest financial means. But it's not showing that on the Cal Enviro screen portal. This area the areas in red are 3 tracts of land that are showing up, to two in red, and then one by Dr. That was on a 27 listing. But it seems that they run this, they update this every so often because demographics change. So every couple of years, I don't know however many, what the frequency is, but that was Cal Environ's screen 3.0. They're on version 4.0 now. And those areas in red, and then the red at the bottom, at the extreme east, that you're into Coachella already. But when you look at those areas, if you scroll to the very last slide, you look at those 3 areas, the social, they have, ozone is off the chart over 80, as I said. Diesel particulate in that area is over 80. Lead from housing is over that area. You know, we have the brand spanking new fancy dancy houses, some really beautiful houses here. Those are not the houses with the lead. So that's why you kind of have to break it down by area, because if you just go average, it looks good. But then you do have this cluster of areas in the red that, and it's going to be the older homes typically that will have lead in the housing, and then ozone. And then the impacts that you see are low birth weight, education, linguistic isolation, poverty, unemployment, and housing burden. And what I wanted to ask you as the rest of the commissioners is, what other factors should, because we're building this plan to address the need. It's not just arbitrary or any old plan will do, or one neighborhood is the same as the other. So what I'm trying to answer, the question that I wanted to come in with some metrics on, right, not just my opinion, is what are the characteristics of these various districts? Obviously, we don't have to worry about the areas in green because they're all good. They've got, you know, all the resources. They maybe not all the resources, but I shouldn't say they're all good. But they're not the ones in most dire need, right? So, but for the folks that, and even those that are doing good, what are their needs? You know, okay, maybe they have everything, but they don't have green spaces. So what are some of the other indicators that are not necessarily on this that we would want to consider for our plan? Would we want to consider green spaces and break this down? I thought of getting in my car and driving around, but I don't know if that's the way. And even then, we still have to, I think we still have to, you know, maybe you folks have been around here longer than I have, and you have some ideas on, you know, ZEV chargers. Was it grocery stores? That one just came to my mind. Like, you know, they call it food deserts, right? What are the metrics? If I just want to get your idea on off the top of your head, or, you know, emailing me back, whatever, what do you think makes the neighbor, I bought my house where it is because it's walkable. I don't want somewhere where I have to get in my car every time to go to the grocery store. But then that led to another problem of noise from I-10. You know, you solve one problem, you get another. But, okay,
I have a question. Okay, so this Cal Enviro Info, is that a specific website? You
yes,
got that?
Cal Enviro Screen, Cal Enviro Screen. So if you go on there and you put in Indio, California, this information comes up. And it tells you, it gives you the metrics on these indicators.
How are they measuring some of these metrics?
You know, I do not know. I mean, you can see the metrics on slide 22, but where they obtain the data from, one up, please. Yes, that one. Where they get the data on ozone particulate, I imagine they have
They can take.
they test for
yeah,
that.
They can test for that, they can take measurements.
Pesticides, toxic releases, that would be industry reporting. Traffic, I'm sure the DOT can give them traffic. Drinking water, the one that I was kind of surprised to see on here was impaired water bodies. That's in the orange. I was kind of surprised to see that elevated, because I don't know of any impaired water bodies around here.
Unless they're talking about the Salton Sea.
Could for India?
But not-
It
it's not
could
part of
very well
India.
be. So, well, that's exactly the point of this, you know, rather than just coming off of our head, I think it would be really nice. Since we have the time, I can run the data, but I just wanted some help on metrics, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, the only body of water that I could think of that's nearby would be the Lake Coahuila. That
Okay.
one's like in La
But
Quinta area and so forth.
That's used for, well, I mean, yeah,
It's used for what?
I mean, it's for potable water. I
Oh,
mean,
okay, potable water, okay, yes. So I don't know what that one is about. But do you have any thoughts on other metrics that, you know, just in our daily lives, what makes a good neighborhood? If you're gonna move into a neighborhood today, what is it you're looking for it to be sustainable?
Well, air quality obviously is a constant challenge here. Just from the traffic off of I-10, the diesel traffic, and then we have the diesel train engines running through every day back and forth. We've got a lot of diesel infiltration in our valley air here because of all the semi-trucks and transportation and all that.
And I know a lot of the trucks and the train go along India Boulevard,
Right.
because that's easy access to the freeway, the off-ramp. You know,
And like where Oscar Ortiz's district is, I mean, it's bordering that whole area.
his district, there's a lot of the older homes. Like, for example, I live in that area and my house was built in 1955.
Ooh,
So there's a lot of older homes there, a lot
Yes.
of older apartments. There's also a mobile home park. Well, actually, that I'm aware of, there's 2 mobile home parks. You know, there's one off of Indio Boulevard, and there's one across the street from Indio High School. So it's a lot of older homes.
yeah. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know why they call that district. On the Indio website, when you go to the Indio website and you look at his name, they said, city council member Ortiz, that he has the poorest district, but that's not what the stats say. You know, so.
Well, there's also a lot of low-income apartments in that area.
Okay.
There's senior apartments
Yeah.
across from Indio High School,
Okay,
and that I can think of, there's about 3 apartment complexes near Indio High School.
okay.
So how are they measuring the lead? Are they just estimating the number of older homes that they're estimating has X amount of lead
I have
issues?
no idea, but it's lead in homes, not lead, the metric that they have here is lead in homes, not lead from, even low birth rate, I guess they can get from the hospital. Asthma is also up. somewhat elevated, as is cardiovascular disease. That's pretty high as well. So that kind of speaks to the issue of maybe we need to have a sustainable neighborhood. Maybe we need, maybe we should, start serving salads or something at events.
Vice Chair Lew,
Oh, go ahead.
if I could, a couple of things. A couple of years ago, the city got a grant to do a planning grant for transformative communities. And I believe it focused on that area because the Cal EnviroScreen, one of the things that it's used highly for is if you're going to apply for a grant that is focused on disadvantaged communities, you can use the Cal Enviro, you can use that tool. So you don't have a bunch of different applicants trying to say, because of these reasons, this area is disadvantaged and
Right.
that's what we're working on. It kind of,
Levels.
it made it so that they decided where these were, I'm not exactly sure where they get their information as well, what they use, but that way they could say, everyone was on the same page. These are disadvantaged areas or areas that needed more of a focus, and so that's what Cal EnviroScreen was used for, and it was also used for this, for the Transformative Communities Planning Grant. I haven't looked at it in a while, but what it did was it had a good amount of community outreach, asking, I think, the questions that you're trying to get at. What is it that you need in your community? Is it green spaces? Is it grocery stores? Is it all these things? And it listed a bunch of them, and then they went out into the community, they had community events, people came to them, and then they were able to map out what it is that the community felt like they needed. And I believe it was focused in that area, and I believe I can share that document with you. I'll see if I can get that out, and that might help kind of what you're getting at as far as what do they need? Do they need salads? Are they looking for, a community
Right.
garden? Those things were
Yeah.
ranked in this study.
And even from the commissioners, what do you think is of importance? Is it recycling centers? Is it grocery stores? Is it,
Well, I know in that area, that's mainly where all the grocery stores are in Indio,
Okay.
by Indio High School. You have
Okay.
Cardenas, and then you
Yes.
have El Super, and then you have Stater Brothers.
Yes,
And they're all off of 111.
yes, okay.
The rest of Indio, they have the mini marts, but they don't have like full-on grocery stores until you go to the other side of Indio.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think we should all, if we get that
Yeah,
at the next meeting,
yeah,
I think we should all think of some things. And then I would suggest too, before we have our working session with the council members, maybe Sarah could send out just a memo asking them, as prerequisite before the meeting or the working session, just, what do you all think? What are your ideas for helping the sustainability in your district? And kind of give them ask them so that when they come to the meeting or work session, that they will have some ideas already thought out. Instead of just asking them at the meeting or training
True,
session or
true,
the
because
work
that
session.
might,
That way they can think about it
Think about it.
and bring what they think, my district area my council lady might have different ideas as to maybe somebody else's, so.
yeah, maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe we can even send this, if we collect enough metrics and so ahead of time to give them, and then when they come to the meeting, they see the same thing again, so they'd have had some time to think about it. So maybe,
Hopefully.
maybe ask what they want us to look into.
Yeah, because I'd rather
Yeah.
have them kind of come prepared with some ideas at the work session versus trying to think of some things at the work session. Because we're only gonna have one of these. The
exactly,
more we can prepare them for what we're gonna talk about.
that's exactly why I'm pulling this up now, because it would be,
You know, I've never seen, this is the first time I've seen a Cal Enviro screen, data, so.
well, that's why I wanted to show you, because, I mean, the other indicators are just, you know, that I showed last time, those are just blank indicators: water, air, life, fish, climate action, good jobs, but that doesn't tell you how which of those specific things are a problem for our neighborhoods. And as you say, it is a diesel particulate, it is the ozone. Ozone is a result of NOx from the trucks, and VOC, those are organics from, you know, they drift in or from some solvent reprocessors. I don't even know where the VOCs are coming from around here. It would be good to know.
My only concern on on those measurements for ozone is, I'd have to ask, are they measuring every month? Are they taking an average over the course of 12 months? Or are they just coming down here 1 month of the year and taking a measurement, like, could be midsummer when the ozone layers are typically the worst? And that could be misleading, so I'd be interested in how they accumulate those ozone numbers. You know,
I
measures.
can actually bring back a good amount of information on the air quality next meeting.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and we are one of the worst areas. Banning is worse than we are, because Banning, Beaumont, they're right in that pass where it squeezes together, and they get the VOCs coming in, and then they have all the warehouses.
Well, that's a big part of it. When I lived in Beaumont, they were building a lot of warehouses, and they're starting to do that now here. They've got some approvals in Palm Springs, and it's probably gonna filter down to our area, but with the amount of semi-traffic and then the diesel train cars, engines going back and forth on our tracks here, and we're in a bowl. We've got mountains surrounding us, and then we get the westerly or the easterly flow of wind coming from the west off the coast. It goes through Beaumont, Banning, and that blows it down in the valley here. So we're getting also some of their ozone pollution, plus Riverside County and Moreno Valley, you know. So it's all ending up here before it can get dissipated out to the farther east. But anyway,
All right, so on the last slide, if you would, when Sarah sends this out, just think of the things that you or your neighbors or relatives might complain about every day, and you know, write those down, and we will gather the data, as opposed to just having one anecdotal complaint from your next door neighbor. We'll say, is this next door neighbor's complaint valid, you know?
Right.
And we'll pull the data on that before we go to the study meeting. Okay, that's enough from me.
very good. I think that concludes the commissioner reports. Anybody, staff report.
There are no staff items.
Okay then. Anybody like to move to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn our meeting for today.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Meeting adjourned.